In the opening scene of part 2, Mora wakes up in a field and finds bruises on her wrist. She sees a cross nearby that says, "Wake up" on it. The message transfers her to a mental asylum where she is accusing her father of doing something to the ships. Two men take her away and inject her with a drug to make her forget the secret about the ships and her father. Suddenly, Mora wakes up on the ship and realizes that she was just dreaming. She somehow fell asleep after the boy appeared out of the cupboard. Upon looking around, Mora realizes that the people have locked him inside the cupboard again, scared of his abilities. She tries to convince the captain to let the kid out because he might be scared. However, he and everyone else in the room believes that they have to keep the kid locked until they know how he survived after falling into the sea. Meanwhile, in the lower compartment, the people grow nervous. They have started a rebellion against the captain's group, but they do not have the knowledge of how to get the ship to its destination. The woman who pushed the boy off the ship is now one of the leaders of the group, but her daughter is skeptical of her mom's perspective. She is the same pregnant woman, Tove, whom Mora saved at the beginning of the trip. Tove thinks that her mother is mentally ill and wants to join the captain's group instead. She talks to her brother about it, but when he doesn't show interest, she simply picks up a gun and goes into the room where the captain and his team are resting. At first, the group is skeptical, but they lower their guns upon finding out Tove wishes to join them. The boy starts banging the cupboard louder, making Mora worried for him. Against everyone's warning, she walks towards the cupboard to let him out. Suddenly, someone fires at her, and Daniel runs to save her. Just before the bullet hits Mora, time freezes. She is shocked, but she composes herself before getting the kid out of the cupboard. He has the pyramid, which Mora assumes he used to stop time and save her. She asks him how he did it, but gets no answer. Instead, the kid pulls her outside the door. As soon as they walk out, time flows again. To the people in the room, it looks as though Mora and the kid disappeared in front of their eyes. Suddenly, an alarm starts blaring, taking everyone on the ship by surprise. The captain loses his mind and attacks Daniel, asking him if he knows who Mora actually is. Tove stops them and asks the captain to get his act together since he is the only man who can save the ship now. Then the alarm stops, but a steady ticking follows. A bunch of people go stiff upon hearing the ticking, almost as if they are being hypnotized by it. Almost all passengers on board march down the hallway and to the deck. Then they start jumping off the ship one after another. The ones that are still conscious cannot stop the horde of people committing mass suicide. Mora pushes the kid into a room and demands to know what is going on. In reply, he whispers that someone is listening to their conversation, which is why she will have to ask the creator to get the answer. Mora has no clue who the creator is and who is listening to them, but she quietly agrees to do as the kid says. After that, he brings her to the shaft in her room. He lets a beetle out of his hand and creates a tunnel inside the shaft as well. As Mora follows him through it, she reaches a large landscape, one that could never fit inside a ship. She soon discovers that it is the place she grew up in, but the boy is nowhere to be seen. Outside, Daniel rushes to Mora's room and uses the kid's technique to create the tunnel again. It is clear that he knows something about what is going on with their ship and the passengers. He also reaches the same landscape and meets the boy. They talk about how Mora doesn't remember anything and claim that she is the only one who can stop all this. Their conversation is vague, but it seems as though they have been on the lost ship before. On the ship, Lucian and his wife WW are in their room afraid of what is happening outside. A lower-class man named Jerome barges in and ties them around the room to prevent them from walking outside. It turns out that he has some kind of history with the couple and wants them safe. He also ties himself to the room in hopes that he won't be hypnotized as the rest. Daniel, on the other hand, rushes to the strange instrument in the lower part of the ship. This instrument is responsible for what is happening to the passengers at the moment. Using a remote, Daniel tries his best to stop the machine and save the remaining passengers. He is interrupted by a worker who thinks he is an intruder. The men get into a fight, but Daniel manages to knock the person out using the remote. At the same time, Mora is still in the landscape that she entered through the tunnel. She finds a mental hospital, the same one her father built for her mother years ago when her mental health deteriorated. Upon entering the place, she meets her father. He asks her where she hid an object, but Mora doesn't know what he's talking about. Suddenly, two men pull her to a chair and inject her. In the following scene, Mora wakes up in her bed on the ship. She doesn't know if what happened to her was reality or just a dream. All she can tell is that her father is the cause of her memory loss. Next, the captain meets her and demands to know how she disappeared earlier. Mora finally reveals that the owner of the lost ship and the one they are in is her father. 4 months ago, when the ship disappeared, Mora's brother also disappeared. She thinks that he was on the ship and had found out what their father was doing. Mora might have been on the lost ship as well, but she doesn't remember anything because her memory was erased. She thinks that the captain won't believe her, but to her surprise, he seems to understand. He shows her the passenger list of the lost ship and points out another shocking fact. It is revealed that the captain of the lost ship was none other than him. Mora continues and discloses that her father is obsessed with studying how the human brain works. This makes her believe that whatever is happening to them is an experiment set up by her father to study the human brain. Suddenly, Mora notices a beetle walking on a table nearby. She captures it and uses it to open the tunnel beneath the captain's bed, like the kid did earlier with the tunnel under her bed. The plan works and both the captain and she are led into a forest. The pathway leads to the captain's burnt-down house that his family died in. Meanwhile, on the ship, the captain's second-in-command, Wilson, receives a message that says, "Sink ship." His assistant also sees it and starts panicking. Wilson knocks him out and calmly proceeds to dispose of his body. It is then revealed that Wilson works for Mora's father and is on the ship to catch the kid. Suddenly, Daniel is able to turn off the instrument and people stop jumping off the ship. However, he seems to be too late because only a few people are left alive. Right before a woman jumps off, she comes back to her senses. To her, everything that just happened looks like a dream. Next, all the survivors gather on the deck. There are a total of 7 survivors, including Wilson. Then we are finally shown the face of Mora's father, Henry. As she had expected, he is the mastermind behind the lost ship and everything that has happened since it disappeared. He is conducting some kind of sick experiment and playing with the passengers like puppets. The man can see a pyramid through his window that looks like a bigger version of the one the kid was holding. A while later, the survivors gather up to discuss their next move. Daniel reveals that the ship's engine has stopped working, and if it isn't fixed soon, they are going to die in the middle of the ocean. The captain orders all the men to work to fix the engine, and all the women to look for other survivors on board, if there are any. Similarly, the 2 surviving priests are asked to use the telegraph and continue sending signals to the ship company. On their way to the coal storage, the group of men run into strange black stuff protruding through the ceiling. It grows larger by the second, and they are too scared to touch it. At Daniel's suggestion, they decide to ignore it and focus on fixing the engine first. The same protrusion can be seen growing all around the ship. Meanwhile, Mora and the captain go into the tunnel beneath her bed one more time, like Mora did earlier. They go inside the mental asylum to look for the kid. Mora explains to the captain about the mental asylum and how it came into existence because of her mother's illness. Behind them, Daniel has also entered the tunnel to look for Mora. The duo walks into the building, and Mora can instantly tell that the place feels different than the place she grew up in. She also explains that her father only loved one person in his entire life, and it was her mother. However, her mother's mental health got bad after she birthed her children. Because of this, their father never really loved them. While talking, they reach a room in the basement where Mora remembers being held. Outside the door is the ship's hull, which makes the captain believe they are still somehow inside the ship. Back on the ship, a woman touches the black stuff protruding through the ceiling. Her palm turns black because of it, and she can no longer feel it. Her condition gets worse when she realizes the mark is growing rapidly. At the same time, Tove starts hallucinating about the most traumatic day of her life. It was the day she saved her brother from a landowner. The man wanted to teach her family a lesson, so he sexually assaulted Tove in front of her entire family. But the event took a turn when she got her hands on a rock and hit the man to death. Suddenly, she wakes up from the nightmare and falls into her companion's arms in tears. Somewhere else in the ship, Wilson gets inside the cabinet where the kid was found. After he leaves, the engine is fixed and the ship starts moving again. The priests in the control room have to learn to steer the ship, so they bring out a couple of books from the shelf. But to their utter surprise, the books only have a single sentence written throughout them. It says, "May your coffee kick in before reality does." Then we are taken back to Henry, who is now in front of the massive pyramid. Wilson comes to meet him and is apologetic that he hasn't found the kid yet. He is ordered to complete the task soon and reminded of the importance of the experiment. Back in the mental asylum, Mora and the captain are on their way back to the entrance when they see the same black stuff protruding through the walls. They stop to check and are shocked to see it moving. Mora tries touching it, but stops when Daniel arrives at the right time. He claims that he followed them down here, but the captain and Mora do not trust his innocence. The captain points a gun at him and tries to lock him into a room before Daniel pushes him away and uses the strange remote to teleport him to a forest. Mora is left stunned and scared of Daniel's ability. As she asks him to get away, Daniel inquires if she really doesn't remember him. With hurt in his eyes, he reveals that he is her husband, and they have been married for the past 12 years. Mora doesn't believe him and locks him into a room before running outside. Out of frustration, she throws the gun away, but it happens to hit something midair. Upon checking, Mora finds a levitating door that leads back to the ship. While she climbs back, her father Henry watches her and the rest of the survivors on several monitors. The episode ends as we see the captain making his way through the forest and climbing back to the ship. Only this time, he ends up on the lost ship and looks around to see many such ships surrounding the one he is on.